Okay, thank you all so much for being here. We're super excited to have you at Penn State and to finally see those faces we've been talking to all semester. We are so excited to share our vision for Suave Deodorant 2020, so let's get into it. So we are smooth marketers and Zest, so we can introduce ourselves first. My name is Nicole Kachanaz. I'm the account manager for Zest.
My name is Veronica Bucknavage, and I'm the Brand Innovations Manager for Smooth Marketers.
I'm Ben Yan, and I'm on the Consumer Insights team for Smooth Marketers.
My name is Whitney Martin, and I'm a co-creator for Zest.
Hi, my name is Taylor Zerby, and I'm the Brand Activation Manager for Smooth Marketers.
So although this is us presenting up here, we also have a large team that worked all semester with us. So just want to point out from the brand team, we have Caitlin, Abby, and Andres. And from the agency team, we have Grace and Isabel as well. So our task in this project was to develop the innovation for Suave by finding the white space in the deodorant category. And we'll go through our agenda to talk a little bit about how we accomplished this task. So first we'll go into our consumer insights, then competitive landscape, and how that shaped our activation and long-term strategy. So first let's talk a little bit about who Suave's consumer is. So Suave's consumers are women who earn an annual income of $99,000 and below, and who are also aged 18 to 35 years old. So this would put them in the millennial and Gen Z category. Now, a few weaknesses that we found in our research with Suave was that first, there was a bit of a lack of brand awareness. So when people thought of Suave, there wasn't really that first thing that came to mind. And also people really didn't know about its great price point. It didn't help that its shelf placement was very close to Secret, so because of the color, it does blend in a little bit with Secret, so it's a little bit hard to determine as well. But some strengths of Suave that we realized as well is that first, it is very simple, and simplicity can be a really beautiful thing. But it's also a brand, so that's an awesome thing it has going for it. And next, it's very comprehensive, so many different types of women can use Suave and get the benefits from it as well. So now I'm going to pass it off to Ben to talk a little bit more about our consumer insights.
All right, thanks, Nicole. So, right in our middle of our target market is my friend Kayla. She's 23 years old and a recent graduate from Penn State with a degree in journalism and is now living in New York City. Now, being a recent college graduate has a lot of pros. Like she's got that newfound independence, and she gets to make all of her own decisions, including the things that she buys. But she has to be value conscious, because being a college grad means that you have student loans. And living in a big city like New York, it's expensive. So she can't really afford to live in the middle of the city, so she commutes in by train. And on those long commutes that she's got, she tries to stay connected, whether it's with chatting with friends, staying up to date on social media, or reading the news. But as she's going out throughout her day, she noticed that there is so many messages that she is surrounded by that brands are putting out, both socially, both digitally, and physically. And those ads look something like, maybe it's a Hollywood actor, or it could be an Olympic athlete. But Kayla has big goals too, and she doesn't want to be any of those things. What Kayla wants is to become a New York Times bestselling author. And she's been working on a book too. But she hasn't a lot of time, because Kayla, she's got a lot of things going on in her mind. And it's just not just work. Getting up in the morning, she's got about 100 things going through her head. The things that she needs to bring to work, that paper that she's got to get to her editor, the equipment that she needs to bring in the afternoon to catch that important story, and what outfits to pack for the day. And she's got that Zumba class that she wants to do with her friends. And she loves cooking too. So a grocery list is always going through her head. Now, thinking about all these things in the morning means that there are so many things, and that morning's very rushed. So it is inevitable that she forgets something. And based on our focus groups, we found that one of the most commonly forgotten things in the morning is their deodorant. Now, let's step away from Kayla a little bit and focus on us. Think about the last couple times that you forgot your deodorant. What kind of thoughts are going through your head? Perhaps you're a little bit anxious. Maybe you were lacking a bit of self-confidence. Maybe you were shying away from those interactions that you would normally have with people. The fact is that we are not ourselves when we forget our deodorant. Because deodorant might be a forgettable product, it is very, very important. In fact, we found that over half of our focus group participants said that if they forgot their deodorant in the morning, they would have to go home and get it. But people like Kayla with that long commute sometimes don't have that luxury, so they look to Google for help. And in a Google search, what they might find are some alternatives or some hacks that they could use. But while these are pretty helpful, they're not as effective as the deodorant that she uses. What Kayla needs is a product that is just as high quality and effective as the one that she uses every morning, but in an on-the-go format that you can take with her throughout the day. So, to recap a little bit, Deodorant is a forgettable product, yet it is crucial to a person's daily routine, much like someone brushing their teeth in the morning or washing their face at night. And it's a common problem that people like Kayla are having, and other brands are recognizing this. So I want to pass it off to Nika to talk about the competitive landscape.
So before we jump into our activations, I'll be discussing the competitive landscape and how Suave compares with its competitors. What we have found is that brands are not meeting the needs of our consumers, whether it be through price or their agenda and messaging. From this perceptual map, we see that a lot of our competitors are located in the top right-hand quadrant. They are agenda-driven, meaning that their advertising and campaigns support strong social causes and they have loud messaging. We also see that their products are more on the expensive side, but our consumers like Kayla find that their products are too expensive. Brands need to recognize that consumers are price sensitive. They are not willing to pay $5 for an on-the-go deodorant format. From our focus group, we found that none of our participants would purchase the Secret Freshie for a price of $5, but they would purchase, 71% said they would purchase an on-the-go if it was priced at $3. Brands also need to recognize that through their strong agenda-driven campaigns that they are telling consumers who to be, and consumers do not like this. One participant from our focus group said that messages that tell me what I need to be make me think I am doing something wrong or I'm living my life the wrong way. Here we have some examples of our competitors' strong social messages. Degree focuses a lot around activity and constantly being active. Secret focuses a lot on women's rights. And then Dove focuses a lot on body positivity. While none of these messages are bad, consumers will either identify with these messages or they will not. And when consumers do not identify with these messages, that is when they feel like they don't know what they're doing and they feel overwhelmed. So with all these messages coming at consumers, they're very overwhelmed and they've lost confidence in who they are and how they live their life. But Suave, on the other hand, we are more affordable and we are more passive in our messaging. We do not want to overwhelm our consumers, and this is what we want to capitalize on. So to recap, we see that a lot of brands are offering products at prices that are too high and have messaging that is very strong that overwhelms consumers. But Suave, on the other hand, our messaging is more passive, and we offer products that are more affordable, and this is what we want to capitalize on. So now I'll hand it off to...
So this brings us to our key insight. From everything that we've talked about, it's easy to see that people are overwhelmed and they're tired of being told how to live their lives. Just think about yourselves. It's so easy to get wrapped up in everyday life and to be overwhelmed by all of the small things that we have to worry about. Even coming to this presentation, I'll be honest, I almost forgot to put on deodorant myself. But what we really do see is that women want to be able to have the chance to make their own agenda, whether that's daily or social. They have big dreams that they want to go for, just like Kayla being an author. And you know what? We don't have to worry about deodorant as one more thing that's just going to keep us from getting in those extra pages to write that book that we've always wanted to write. Which brings us to our campaign of UDOU, which is a play off of the term you do you. So many of you might have heard this phrase before. It's a way to give yourself a boost, to be that person that's really telling you whatever it is that you're going for, you can do it. Whatever your agenda is, we want to help you achieve it. Which comes through our mission at Suave. So our mission is to help everyday busy consumers worry less about their deodorant, because we believe that by conquering the little things, you can accomplish your big goals. And some inspiration behind that is a message from Marketing to Gen Z, a book that some of us read in preparation for this class. And it really tells us to stop selling and start supporting. People don't want to hear messages that you're creating on your own. You know, we want to be the brand that's kind of like the support, that friend that's telling you, you do you, girl. So now I'm going to pass it off to Taylor for activations.
Thanks, Nicole. So we're super excited to share our activations with you today. The three biggest goals of our activations is to help increase brand awareness, help portray our brand identity, and the third is to find activations that help make our consumers' lives easier and give them one less thing to worry about. So our activations are going to fall into expand, elevate, and engage, and we'll go through those in more detail as we move along. So the first is expanding and updating our product portfolio. So as you could probably infer, we want to include an on-the-go form of deodorant, as well as update some of our packaging. So just like Kayla wants to find ways to make her life easier and more convenient. And so just like Kayla, 59% of US consumers say they're interested in on-the-go formats other everyday products like deodorant. And when we look at the body care category and interest in new forms, the fourth highest ranked is on-the-go deodorant, which shows that our innovation is definitely within scope of like what Kayla and people like Kayla are looking for. And so we looked to our competitors to see if anybody was making on-the-go products, and we found that many of them are, but they're not hitting on Kayla's pain points like price and value. And so many of them retail close to $5, giving consumers 15 to 24 wipes and half-ounce Freshie balls, which is not a lot for their money, and which led us to create an on-the-go form of Suave deodorant. So we are able to really hone in on Kayla's pain points of price and value, retailing between $3 and $4, and it's and the reason for the form versus, so on the last slide you saw a lot of wipes. Ours is more of a stick form, and the reason for that is because Kayla is value conscious, and so with the wipe it feels like you're not getting much, and a wipe's like one and done kind of thing where you're in control of how much you're using and it doesn't feel like so much of a waste. And I'm sure you're noticing our updated packaging, and this is something that we want to do not just for our product innovation, but for our entire portfolio. So currently our packaging looks like this, and we want to update it to this. And there's a couple different reasons. The first reason is because we want to really help ourselves pop out on the shelf since we do have poor shelf placement. The second is we want to modernize it to help attract younger consumers. And the third is so that we help differentiate ourselves from Suave, since we know that's a problem that we have, while still keeping our blue recognizable stick frame and our Suave logo. And we also wanted to use our real estate a little bit differently. So this sticker on the top used to say extra effective protection, but with 24-hour protection already on the label, we thought that we could use it in a better way. So we want to revamp the real estate of the sticker on the top to promote our new on-the-go innovation, to help make consumers aware of the innovation as well. And really quick, Whitney is going to talk a little bit about our inspiration and why we chose the packaging that we did.
So from our focus groups, we found that the consumers thought the stock-like imaging on the original packing made the brand seem cheap. While we are a value-conscious brand, we wanted to modernize our packaging in order to appeal more to our consumer. From this, you can see that our repackaging has a bright, eye-catching, fun design that utilizes a hand-drawn font to create a sense of personalization. And from this, we got our inspiration from bullet journals when deciding what image we wanted to portray. If you don't know what a bullet journal is, it is a blank notebook that comes with a series of dots throughout the page to give you a little bit of structure. From there, you are able to then create your own journal to tailor it to your own needs and your own personal style. We decided to go with the bullet journal because it it allows our consumers, such as the millennials and Generation Z, who really want that need for personalization and creativity. We decided to carry this through all of our activations, all of our activations. From there, we then want to elevate our presence on other platforms as well. We decided to do a print ad so whenever anyone is flipping through a magazine, they may see it. It goes to emphasize our new packaging and our messaging of UDOU. On this print ad as well, you can see that we included some stickers. This will allow the consumer to take the stickers out and put them on a laptop, water bottle, or wherever they want. It helps to emphasize Suave's mission of reminding the consumer to keep reaching their everyday goals and tasks, and really shooting and supporting them no matter where they're going.
So then we were looking at social activations, and we kind of landed upon this idea of Suave hacks. So I earlier mentioned that we were looking for activations that help our consumers have one less thing to worry about. So the idea behind Suave hacks is that we give our consumers through Facebook, through Instagram, through Twitter, personal care hacks that help make their everyday routine a little bit easier. And we also think this is a great activation to tie Suave Deo to the rest of Suave's portfolio, because they're all on one page under Suave Beauty, and because there are personal care hacks. So it could be deo related, it could be body care related, it could be hair care related. Also on digital, we really want to implement this idea of Suave scholarships. So the idea behind this is to give our consumers one less thing to worry about financially. So the idea behind this is that our consumers will create a video talking about how they live into UDOU and whatever goal they're reaching, whether it be they really want to go to college or they want to start up a small business. And it's an opportunity for our consumers to express themselves and get a small scholarship from SWAV to help support their dreams. It's a great way to give back to our consumers. It's a great way to give a cause, but what's in it for us? And what we'd like to do is use this user-generated content that they submit and put it on our social so that we're able to seem very authentic and really give an alternative way of expressing the UDOU campaign. We have this inspiration from a brand called Passion Planners, and since we're following the idea of bullet journals, this is a planner brand that really lives into having people follow their passions, and one thing that they do on their website is they allow people to create content talking about what their passion is and how they follow it, and for terms of passion planners, how that lives into their passions. But another thing that Passion Planners does that we really want to emulate is they give their consumers the choice to support the brands that they care about. So how they do it is you apply and you pick a cause that you want to give to, and while we're not doing exactly that, in our next activation we're going to talk about how we can introduce this. And although our next activation is a little bit more of a PR stunt, we think that this whole idea of giving our consumers a choice to support the causes that they want can be something that we do in the future, whether it be in retail or on social. So our activation is actually a SWAV on-the-go vending machine activation. And like I mentioned, it's more of a PR stunt. It's not a long-term activation. And the goal of it is to increase brand awareness, our new identity, and give our consumers an opportunity to pick a cause of their choice. So how it would work is it would be in a train station or an airport where people are super busy, maybe they're waiting around, and maybe they forgot their deodorant. And so you can go up to the vending machine, and there's going to be different deodorants that stand for different causes. So that could be ASPCA or domestic violence or water cleanup. And so when someone goes up and they buy a deodorant, they can pick the cause that they want to support, and a certain percentage of their purchase will go to the cause that they choose. And it's all about just giving our consumers a choice, letting them live into UDOU. And so we're really in this stage of digital retail. So we talked about digital and these experiences that our younger consumer wants, but we also really need to live into the retail in-store experiences, because 60% of Gen Z consumers still prefer to shop in-store versus online. So I'm going to have Whitney go into how we can engage with our consumers in retail.
So, being that deodorant is a low involvement category, we found that consumers aren't really doing any research before they come to the store. From this, we wanted to be able to capture their attention in order to become part of the consideration, being that they are making most of their decisions in the deodorant aisle itself. So, in order to become a part of their consideration, we really wanted to emphasize brand awareness throughout our activations. We wanted to include mildly disruptive activations before and after they enter the deodorant aisle. First, we wanted to capture their attention with our end cap. Our end cap goes to show how SWAV deodorant will allow you to do you throughout your entire week. Whether it be starting with our standardized stick in the morning when you're getting ready, or using our little new to-go ones to freshen up after the gym or before date night. And as you can see, if you can see it from where you are, throughout the week there are little check marks next to some of them. There's a check mark next to spa night, ice cream party, and dinner date. This relates down to our bigger check mark, which emphasizes our free survival kits. In our survival kits, we have little free giveaways that come from Unilever's portfolio. For example, for the ice cream party one, in our little survival kit, we could include a coupon for Ben & Jerry's to help you with that day. Or if for spa night, we could include a little Suave shampoo. After you see our end cap, we hope that you are going into the deodorant aisle itself. Most of the time when asked, not really anyone can point out where Suave is in the deodorant aisle, as it is such a vast aisle. As you can see, it is right there. Because of this, with its poor shelf placement close to the ground, we wanted to utilize a floor sticker to help the consumer draw their eye down to where Suave is sitting. Oftentimes when an individual is setting goals for themselves, sometimes they use sticky notes to set reminders for themselves and put them all around, whether it be in their agenda or at home. We use this as inspiration for our floor sticker, as you can see. With this, we also have a QR code. If the consumer scans the QR code, it will bring them to a page that gives them it'll say, how can we help you reach your goals? From there will be different sections involved. Whether you need motivation, a little bit of money, or simplification in your life to reach your goals, it'll be there. Motivational related, it'll be a motivational quote generator. For the money, it will go to about information for our SWAV scholarship, and for simplification, it'll go to our SWAV hacks. Killing two birds with one stone, we really wanted to emphasize our new product and our new brand identity in order to drive sales. To recap this entire section, we really want to expand and update SWAV's portfolio, elevate our presence, and engage with the consumer in retail. And now I'm going to hand it off to Nika to talk about our long-term strategy.
Thanks, Whitney. So to wrap things up, I'll be discussing our long-term strategy for the next 5 to 10 years. So by 2020, Gen Z will represent 40% of all consumers, so it's critical as a brand we're meeting the needs of this growing generation. This generation seeks 3 main things. The first is self-actualization, which is the motive for one to realize their full potential. This is what we are trying to accomplish through UDOU. We want to encourage our consumers to reach their goals in life. The second is authenticity. We want to continue to showcase how we understand our consumers' lives by having content that is a reflection of their lifestyle. This will lead to brand loyalty. The last thing is they're seeking for ways to save money. 72% of Gen Z will switch brands if they find a similar product for a lower price. Taylor briefly touched on earlier Phygital and how we are focusing on this in our in-store activations. In the future, what we are hoping to accomplish is to have interactive end caps, promote user-generated content, and then have digital convenience by continuing to use QR codes throughout retail. And then looking ahead in 5 to 10 years, by 2025, we want to focus on reusable packaging, and then by 2030, we want to focus on natural deodorant. And now I'll hand it off to Nicole to recap everything for you.
Okay, so as we've touched on today, we talked about our consumer insights. We've talked about how Kayla is always very busy throughout her day, and she also really is getting additionally overwhelmed by all these messages she's hearing as well. We've also talked about how our competitive landscape isn't helping with this as well. Next, we've talked about our activation and long-term strategy and how we're really hoping to be that brand that supports her in all of Kayla's decisions. So now as I end, I just urge you to think about your own lives. How many times are we rushing around each day? We can't even really take a moment to ourselves to really think about, where do we want to be in 5 to 10 years? So let's think about that. As you come from this presentation, just think about, with these changes, how SWAV can help our consumers so much in their daily lives. And so, as you go out today, I just hope that you can do you, or better yet, you can DO you. Thank you. So thank you. Any questions that anybody has for us?
It was really great. It was really great and really interesting. I'm trying to look through. I took too many notes and they're very messy. I really like the new packaging. I had a question about, versus, we have the 1.4 ounce size already. So I'm wondering what's the differentiation between the on-the-go that you're thinking of and the 1.4 ounce?
Great. So we actually have a sample right here of something that we were thinking of as the size.
So I'd probably be a little bit more round, but this was the inspiration for it. I can bring it over to you. And I think the differentiator, I don't want to talk my life, but I think the differentiator is more or less in my head, there's a difference between travel size and on the go. I think it's just more the perception of how we're branding it and how we're marketing it. So it would be the on the go form. It's more on trend versus just a travel size deodorant.
And this is much easier to fit inside any purse or backpack in smaller compact spaces.
And would those two be the 2 cents that you would recommend for launching first? The Coconut Kiss and the Tropical Paradise?
I think that was really the way that we saw would be the best way to get our new designs out and how to replicate them. But really, we could suggest it for all of SWAB scents.
I was just wondering if there was any reason why those 2 cents are.
What we found from our focus group, like those were pretty popular.
Just so people
But
saw them.
yeah, and I think like creatively, that was the best way for this presentation to exemplify like what we were talking about with the fresh, modern, updated packaging.
I had another question around the restage. I was wondering, like I heard a little bit about like your reasoning behind why to go with the restage. Was there any consumer insights that kind of led to that? Or maybe I just missed it when you
The
guys.
repackaging.
Yeah, the repackaging.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So we actually did, in our focus groups, we had the picture of the old SWAB packaging, and then we had probably 2 to 3 new designs that we were showing them, and the ones that we actually portrayed in the presentation were by far and away the most popular with the consumers.
Okay.
And I think it, for when we're looking at the old packaging, people were really saying that it was really hard to differentiate between SWAB and Secret. But
Okay.
with the new packaging, they were saying there was quite a difference that they could notice.
And I think mostly like there was adjectives thrown around like old-fashioned looking and various adjectives like that.
Interesting. That's really interesting. And then I just had another question around like knowing that our consumer goes up to like we over-index up to 35 years old. Do you feel like this reaches that consumer as well, or do you feel like we might be leaving part of our like consumer target out?
So I think in terms of the over 35 group, a lot of them are purchasing the stick size. And in terms of the product itself, we're not actually going to be changing, and we're keeping with that baby blue bottle so that it'll still be recognizable with that SWAB logo.
Okay.
So for those customers that are going to be going back and they know that they would like to buy SWAB, I think that they'll still be able to find it because in terms of shelf placement, it'll be in the same place. I think they'll actually really appreciate the new art, but in terms of product, it will still be as good as the ones that they were buying before.
And you recommend keeping all the same scents then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple. So, to the packaging point, I know early in our conversations, you guys talked about the awareness that not necessarily SWAB deodorant had, but that other SWAB beauty products had, like their shampoo, conditioner, that kind of thing. Did you guys think about those other products when you changed this? And was there any fear that you guys might lose some of the awareness that you've had on those other brands?
Well, I think you mean from other SWAB brands?
Yeah, other SWAB brands.
So I mean, I think that there's a difference between them already, and we are keeping the blue packaging. We're not changing the logo. We're just changing the graphics on it. So we did think about that, but I just don't think there's gonna be that big of a disconnect.
I think that the fact that you kept the blue packaging is good,
Mhm.
that helps a little bit. And then I also like that you kept the SWAB logo in the same place. 'Cause I think that like ties it together a little bit.
Yeah. My other question was around, I know from the insight, obviously, people don't like to be told what to do, especially by big celebrities and whatnot, but did you guys think about influencers at all in your tactics or your activations? Just knowing that they're not quite as in your face, and kind of more relatable? Just curious if that ever came up.
So we did think about influencers. I think as we were thinking about it, one of the things that we had talked about were, showing someone using deodorant and kind of thinking how that would work as an influencer, showing how they use SWAB every day. We actually did come up with a few ideas such as, kind of doing a what's in your bag and having people, many different types of people who are going toward different things show how SWAB can work for all of them. Just due to time and some other activations that we thought were a little bit stronger, we decided to index that, but it is definitely something that we considered, yeah.
If we want to go to the appendix, actually, it's one of the first ones.
Oh, there it is.
Nice. I mean, I think your guys' strategy long-term with user-generated content is important too, though, because sometimes that can be more influencer-like, but, you're using actual authentic imagery, so that's good. Thank you. Overall, though, you did a great job. Your presentation skills are amazing.
Yeah.
Always blown away.
Great storytelling. So thinking about your, I think it was 5 to 10 year strategy. I was wondering how you decided upon like the 2 next steps you mentioned. I know one of them was like reusable or recycled materials, and I'm sorry I missed the other one.
The natural
Yeah.
deodorant.
Yeah. So how did you come upon those 2 as the long-term strategy, and then how does that tie into the campaign that you have suggested?
I focused on the reusable packaging because there are a lot of messages coming out about how in 50 years or so there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish, and this is just growing and growing and growing awareness about this. So I know that our consumers are becoming very conscious of what the products they use and how it affects the environment. So this is something that Suave should be conscious of going into the future. And then for the natural deodorant, I see that a lot of people are recognizing that the harsh chemicals that is currently used in deodorant is not good for their bodies. So I wanted to focus on addressing that need that consumers are starting to become more aware of. And how if you believe that if your body is something that's very important to you and how those chemicals can affect you, if that's something that's important to you, I wanted to address that for those consumers if that's important for them.
That makes sense. How does that tie back? Would that be under the same campaign you guys are suggesting then, and how does that kind of tie into the UDOU campaign?
So I can speak to the reusable packaging one, and just bouncing on something that she said, like we are a follower in innovation and like the things that we do, and I know a lot of brands are opting in. Have you heard of Loop? Loop. It's like in beta phase right now, and a lot of brands. I actually think Dove is opting into it.
Yeah, I should know about it.
It's okay. It's okay. And so it's just this like reusable service. So basically, you get a deo stick. It's in like a reusable titanium thing, and when you're done with it, you send it back, and you can use it for like up to 8 years. It's like 100 uses, 8 years, based on how often you use deodorant. So when she came up with the reusable packaging, her and I were talking about going into services like that, and how since we are a follower of innovation, like brands are already doing that. Going into that, like I think you can spin off things like you do you like you DOU like by making the world a better place, or you know what I mean. Like I think it can still play in you DOU.
Kind of transformative.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a transformative campaign.
Yeah. And do you feel like UDOU would be like a whole Suave brand, like master brand play, like over hair and everything? And how do you think that works with the fact that DO isn't a word?
Yeah, so Grace and I were actually talking about this, and there's a lot of ways you can play with it, like UDOU, and I'm sorry, you had the example about like your hair.
Yeah, like so there's the new like Suave Professionals line that like focuses more on like girls with like kinkier hair, and so like how they do them, how they wear their natural hair, like it could expand into the whole portfolio.
It was like the word like hairdo. Like,
Yeah, like hair do.
So I think that it is. We did think a lot about how it could fit into overall Suave, and we do think that there's a lot of opportunity with the whole idea of UDO.
Great, I like it. I have only one last question, but I feel like I'm capitalizing here.
Yeah, we have time for about 2 more.
I forgot it. I'll remember it. What was I going to ask you? Now I forget. Okay, time pressure.
My bad.
Anybody question?